It is Buffalo Bills game day as the Bills get ready to take on the Houston Texans down in Houston. Pregame is coming up next with Shopa and the Bulldog. They'll carry you all the way to kickoff at 8:15. We'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. 3 players have been ruled out for the Bills so far: tight end Dalton Kincaid and wide receivers Mecole Hardman and Curtis Samuel, while just one player is questionable, that being defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis. On the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out. It'll be Davis Mills who gets the start, and then safety Jalen Petrie and linebacker Jamal Hill have also been ruled out, though those are the only game day designations for the Texans. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. We'll get practice squad elevations later today, and the game day inactives are expected around 6:45 tonight. Some other notes in the NFL: Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again a full participant at practice today. Signs are beginning to point to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And then after missing yesterday, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson back at practice today. He did miss, though, yesterday with an ankle injury. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Well, if you're not ready and all that tackling noise scares you,
grunting,
you don't have to be ready yet. Our job is to get you ready. So don't beat yourself up over this one.
It is a beautiful day for football.
In Houston?
I don't know about Houston. It's beautiful out here, but it's not really germane.
You know, it's been a long time for me. My brother-in-law has been into this. I'm not sure if he still does it, but that Thanksgiving morning football game.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, a couple of times we did that. Scott was playing, maybe he still does. Like, a few times when we've been together on Thanksgiving, he'll have just come from
that is hard.
Tackle football.
That is hardcore.
With his friends.
I know this, Scott. He's in our age bracket.
Yeah, and
I
this
think
wouldn't surprise you about him to know.
No, I guess no. No, it wouldn't.
But this is that kind of day.
Yeah.
Like you're saying.
Oh, man, yeah. Yeah.
Houston, count the weather updates, part of the, what's on the menu here.
It's probably nice
for our
there,
long
too.
pregame
it's
show.
Probably nicer than it is here. Well,
85. It feels like 88, but 85 and partly cloudy. Houston weather brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. I'm going to slip a buy in there. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. That's number one. That's the first of many. The game will be played indoors. First of many Houston weather updates.
I don't think I have played in one of those Thanksgiving Day games since the time I was a part-timer at WBEN, and I tackled Bill Lacey into a giant puddle. And then
you stood right over his head.
I did.
You stood over his face and taunted him.
I did that thing with the belt. I did one of those moves. And I don't think, that's not a great plan, I think, for a guy that, like, maybe people barely even know who he is, and he's the co-host of the morning show at the time.
He outranked you.
By miles. And I remember knocking him into a puddle. And then I felt some regret.
Did he laugh?
I don't think. No, I don't.
Didn't think it was funny?
I have a tough time recollecting, but I don't think he was pleased.
What's the penalty you get now sometimes on roughing the passer? Did you
put my body weight on him?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think I got wet.
Did you drive him into the ground?
I think I just shoved him enough that he lost his balance and fell in a puddle, because I did not end up in a puddle.
Oh, well.
And if I had put my body weight on him, then I would have been in contact with the puddle.
Football, I don't have a lot of, needless to say, I don't have a lot of football playing experience, but my friends and I would play a lot in the yard, just like 2-on-2. And this was me already sort of becoming me as a football thinker, player. I was not really a player. I don't want to use thinker, but this is how your
approach
to
the game.
Football. Yes. is, so we played touch, and the trick was, as a receiver, to tip the ball in the air,
right,
and then you get touched, but you don't have possession yet.
Yes.
And we did not have replay.
Right.
At Todd's. We did not have replay.
I remember trying to master that tactic as well.
Tip it, get touched, then catch it, and then argue for 10 minutes about whether you should have been called out.
Right.
Just like we do now in the real sport. Well, hopefully no such controversy tonight.
That's okay. There'll be a rules official to set it all straight if anything happens.
Bills Game Day, powered by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living. 8:15 tonight, Bills and Texans. Chris Brown, Eric Wood with the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Tonight's broadcast will be presented by Delta Sonic Car Wash. It started out with a kiss. This opening segment of Bills Game Day is brought to you by Crosby's Pizza and Subs. Crosby's hometown fuel, game day ready since 1992. How do you feel?
Good. About the game, you mean? Because generally I feel good. Looking forward to Thanksgiving next Thursday. I feel all right about the game. I'm not great. I'm not here to. If getting you ready means like exuberantly charging up the fans because Bulldog's really optimistic. Like, first of all, you should check yourself if you're basing any thought on that.
On what? How you feel?
On my mood about it. But I feel okay. I don't know what I'm not sure what to expect. Because, the last two games have been so just divergent, results-wise, how they looked aesthetically. So
there's one thing that's been similar. Turnovers.
That's right.
Miami and Tampa.
Yeah.
3 in each game, I think.
So I think I like the game. Whatever. It's a Bills game. But I think I'm very interested. I think a large part of this game, the story could be told who wins those battles on the edges. The edge guys there, Hunter and Anderson, are elite. The Bills have invested heavily in both of their tackles. Like they're both on. Well, Dawkins is on like a third contract already. Brown is on a second contract, younger player. Like those are cornerstone guys. And I think if they can handle themselves, successfully, like win way more than they lose, because it only takes a couple of losses against those dudes. And like if they, Will Anderson gets around the edge and it's a strip sack, it doesn't matter what the other 45 reps look like. Like that's going to be a big one. So they got to be buttoned up there. And like I'm not usually trench guy, Look, I have to, it's funny, we talk to Eric Wood every week, and he mentioned how he has to work to follow the ball while we were talking this week. Like I'm the opposite. I have to work to not do that. But I'm really curious to see what that matchup looks like. That defense. I mean, there's a lot of good players on that defense, even great players maybe. But the two edge guys, I think, are the shining stars of Houston's defense. And the first thought I had about this game when you first brought it up this week was, I think I like the Bills in that matchup. I think that could be advantage Buffalo. Like if you're counting on those guys to win somewhat regularly, I think I've got an antidote. So I'm into that. I feel good about that. But that in and of itself isn't like, the Bills are going to cover the 5.5 or whatever the number is going into today. I haven't even looked.
That's what I have.
Okay.
5.5.
So,
started 3.5, got to 6, now 5.5.
I feel, like anybody, much better after having seen them do what they did on Sunday than I did the previous week. So going into the Tampa game and watching the first 3 quarters of the Tampa game was very tense. And I don't think I'll be very tense tonight. But that doesn't mean that I'm overconfident. I'm hardly that. I think I'm nervous about the spread. I don't know if I want to trust I think this could be like a field goal game in the end. It was down there last year, 23-20. And I think maybe that kind of game is in order. Even if the Bills handle the edge guys, the rest of that defense is good. And, the Bills having turned it over frequently in the last few weeks, that has to give you, I think, a little pause.
I think the thing that it's a little bit maybe predictable for me to say this or for me to think this, but I think the thing that this game will be for the Bills on offense revolves around Cook. A lot of their games have been like that. Miami, I think, was meant to be like that. He didn't get anywhere, and they got beat. Last week, he really didn't get anywhere either, and they won nicely. So, doesn't have to be. Have they really changed, I think, is a key question going into tonight, thinking about like the last month, right? I mean, Miami, before Miami, you had the Kansas City win, which was nice, and even Carolina before that. Not really much to complain about. Then the Dolphins happen, and maybe does the Dolphins game after the Bucs game look like a fluke or a one-off? I'm not ready to. I'm mostly like you in my attitude about tonight. Like I'm not ready to assume at all that their offense is like different from what it's been, which isn't necessarily bad. I mean, It's just a matter of your taste and what you think about like their philosophy. There was a lot that changed last week, and I just don't know or even really want to predict that it's that sticky, that it's because they've decided to scrap a lot of their thinking when it comes to offense.
Yeah, that would really surprise me, given this matchup. It's a part of the uncertainty. Like I am encouraged, that's been my word of the week, by what they put on the field last Sunday. But with this opponent and what they do well, I want to say I'd be surprised if they didn't try to get Cook off in a way that last week they really didn't. I think they just came in and said, we're going to have to throw it to win this game, and they did, and they were very successful doing it. I think with what they represent, what Houston has, in the secondary, and athletic linebackers and these edge guys, but they're maybe not they're great against the run, but I wonder how hard that's been tested. Because the defensive tackles, I mean, Tim Settle's in the rotation, and we saw Tim Settle's
Tim time.
Tim's just a guy to me. Like that's not someone I should like. Oh, you better not run it in there. Like that seems ridiculous to me. So I mean, he's only one guy, but still, like he plays a regular rotation, and I don't know. I'm not gonna feel like the Bills. I'd be surprised if the Bills thought we probably can't make that work. Especially given the alternatives. Like going to a pass-heavy game might be asking for trouble. As much as they might like their tackles, as much as I like their tackles, I don't think you want to get into a game where you're throwing it 45 times with this team. I think you could be asking for problems. So I would expect more of what we've seen most of the year. It's just a question of whether they can do it or not, like effectively, and not leave themselves in not advantageous down and distance situations because of it. They've had a tough time when they do try to run and it gets stuffed on first down. They've been in tough on second and long this year, this team. So if they can get their 6 yards there, then that's a different story. And hopefully what they've learned over the few weeks here is not to stay with that too long. If it isn't working, then they're going to have to pivot. And then I don't know, things could get dicey if they have to throw it too much.
Have you figured out yet how to hate on D'Amico Ryans? Or how to hate D'Amico Ryans?
It depends on how tight his shirt is tonight.
Really?
I feel like he's one of these guys that wants to let you know, I played pretty recently.
He did a thing.
I'm in shape. Look at me. Look at my abs.
I'll take a turn at this, if I may, not to infringe. He did a thing a couple of weeks ago that annoyed me.
All right.
Ready?
I'm happy to have it. I'm happy to have you.
You can have it if you agree.
It's the shows.
I have gotten more and more annoyed by coaches being on the field for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to be out there. Somebody gets hurt, you don't need to walk out there. We've got people for that. We've got actual trainers and doctors who can go out there. You got 25 full-time assistants. You don't need to be out there. And this goes for injuries. talking to the refs. You see, by the way, the official run over Sean Payton on Sunday?
Yes, I did.
Back up. You're not supposed to be on the field. Don't coaches sort of know?
Yeah.
You don't belong on the field. So Ryans, when they were playing Jacksonville, that comeback win, one of their touchdowns, he runs all the way down there with the players. You know what, buddy? Let's be professional here. You don't need to do that.
Just calm it down a little bit.
Let the players enjoy. Let the players be the players. Why don't you just
Did he go down to the corner of the end zone like defenses were doing like in the pandemic? It started in the pandemic. Now they just do it, even though like that was a way to say hi to the cameras. I think during the pandemic, like engage with the fans.
Oh yeah.
And teams I see defense. The Bills do it. Everybody that gets a turnover does it. They run to an end zone. And
don't you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Completely useless for me.
Yeah.
No interest at all.
No.
So, but he joined in.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I don't want that.
No, that's no good.
Don't be one of the you're not a player anymore. What? You're one of the adults.
I'm trying to remember why Washington would have had any cause to celebrate recently, but I swear I've got from the past weekend an image of Dan Quinn out on the field celebrating something. Maybe it was a fourth down stop or something. I don't know what. And he was like out at the logo.
I'm telling you.
And then he's trying to corral, like everybody came with him. The game is still going on, mind you. Everyone came with him, and he's like, "Go, get back, get back." I'm like,
"You're out there.
You broke the dam.
That's right.
Everybody followed you. What are you doing?"
That's right. Just like as a parent.
Yeah, right.
If you're going to want your kids to behave a certain way, you need to behave that way. Yeah. You can't.
That's right.
Well, so there's something if you wanted on D'Amico Ryans. He once ran onto the field.
All right.
At least once has run onto the field.
I think I like that in riding along with how tight his shirt is going to be. Because McDermott also often is like I'm in shape.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe I'm just jealous.
That's what I was going to say. Like this is just we're on TV here. Like, look at me. Yeah, it is jealousy.
I like that McDermott wears glasses now.
I wish I could wear a shirt that tight and have it not be humiliating.
I think the glasses are a man who is comfortable in his own skin, and he's not painting his beard. He's not the Ohio State coach. He's not trying to trick you with his age.
You got to do what you got to do.
Good for him. I approve of this.
I wonder, did the glasses coincide with him starting to call the defense?
Maybe.
The guy
maybe.
Right? Carolina, isn't that where it was first noticed that he had the call sheet and was maybe communicating in that way? And I think that's the game where he first had the glasses. I wonder if that's the smoking gun on when he started calling.
I think he wore glasses in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And that's when it turned at halftime. Maybe he took over, but I think it was Atlanta.
Okay. Because I could understand, feeling like you can get by without it, right? You know who the guys are, right? You can see the numbers are big, the names on the back are big. You know who everybody is. They're your team. So if you're not looking at one of those sheets with 3,000 plays on it, you maybe don't need the glasses. But once you got to look at that sheet, I can't see it that well. I need help.
They're readers.
Yeah.
Then maybe he's wearing readers. I have 2 touchdown props tonight. Want to guess them? Good luck. But to rule out
you're not betting
James
on
Cook at minus 120,
and you're also probably not betting on the Buffalo defense to score.
You're right. You could.
Yeah, I might. I don't have anything put together yet, but I'll have time. We get out of here early enough. I'll be able to get home.
It's a marathon.
Cobble something together
to
make it work. So, what are you sitting on? You're sitting on Dawson Knox and
sounded like the train horn.
Ray Davis.
Elijah Moore.
Oh, okay.
In for Samuel, right?
It seems
probably
likely, yeah. Right. Assuming Coleman is going to be scratched, like has been somewhat widely reported.
In my mind, if I'm third and goal at the 3, I'm probably dead. Because why wouldn't you just run Allen twice or even Cook?
Right.
But if I'm 3rd and 8, little bit too far out, for a run.
Well, that could be a little end-around action from him. That's a run, but yeah.
I think I'd like to be able to parlay this bet into like what the down and distance actually is. Like a 2nd and 8. 2nd and 8.
Yeah.
3rd and 8, I don't think I'm getting that cute. 2nd and 8, this is my Elijah Moore plus 1,000 touchdown. And I actually am playing the Houston defense.
Oh, look at you.
Because the Bills, Allen is getting hit. And there have been interceptions. And Houston is pretty fierce. So maybe there's, what am I going to tell you if that happens? That I'm upset?
Right, yeah, right.
What do I have to own that, I guess, if I'm happy that happens? But
yeah,
I do plus 725. I kind of like the Texans to score. They do it. They're a team that's been capable of that.
Have the Bills had a defensive score yet this year? I don't think they have. I don't recall any sort of scoop and score or anything here. They had Epinesa came very, very, very close. Carolina. And I, by the way, had a Bills defensive touchdown in that game. I lost other stuff, so it wouldn't have mattered. But if you're playing Houston, I probably when I get home and put something together, there's a very good chance I take the Bills to score a defensive touchdown.
Really? Okay.
This guy, they're due.
They're due. The due card.
The due card. I'm gonna play the due card.
As Joe Ostrowski might say.
At some point, they're gonna get one. So I don't know. All this hype about how good Houston's defense is.
You know that the Jets are in Baltimore this week. Is this like amazing or not? It's only week 11, I guess, that we're through. The Jets don't have an interception yet this year. They get blamed for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not that, but they traded Sauce Gardner. They don't have an interception yet.
Well, it sounds like they were right to trade him away. He wasn't getting any interception.
I guess.
He must be terrible.
The Bills have 7. Bishop 3, Hairston 2, Bernard 1, that's Tua.
Right.
To sort of wrap week 3.
The Miami game, yeah.
And then Epinesa, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
7.
Here, listen, I was thinking about this earlier. I just haven't acted on it. I do like it. In part because Mills has been, the Houston quarterback who's playing in place of Stroud, the very high percentage of his throws, higher than like normal. Maybe not by a ton, but he's first read, right? First read, the ball's out. First read, the ball's out. And I think the Bills will know that. And to me, Hairston, somebody could be ready to jump something. So, not that, look, again, the majority of quarterbacks in the league are going, if their first read is there, the ball's out, right? You don't want to wait back there longer than you need to. So if something's available, you do it. But I think if someone is overly reliant on that, I think that's an edge you can maybe exploit. Like, let's make it look like this is here for him, and I'm going to jump it.
Are you aware, and I was not until just now, that we have a Bills game schedule flex?
No, no.
It's not tonight's game. Tonight's game is still on.
That's
scheduled for tonight.
That's a relief.
The Bengals home game, which was scheduled for 4:25, is now at 1.
Really?
Yeah. So another 1 o'clock Bills game has emerged.
Just happen?
3:02 today from Adam Schefter, just after we started talking. And they've moved Chicago Green Bay into 4:25. So they've swapped.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Buffalo.
They must not like Cincinnati's chances of getting off the mat here.
They must not.
Even perhaps with Burrow. Is there
Burrow
word
might
today?
play this week.
He might play this week.
Practice today. So week 14, December 7th, Cincinnati at Buffalo, which was a 4:25 game, is now a 1 o'clock game. Good.
I support that.
I support it. Get them in. Get them over with. Get them in, get them done. Let's go eat.
That is Sunday.
That's what Sundays are supposed to be.
That is what Sundays are for.
That is the next Bills home game. So this is week 12. That's week 14. They've got 1 o'clock scheduled, 1 o'clock road games in the 2 weeks after that, although at New England could get moved.
Right.
And then 4:25 home for the Eagles, and then probably 1 o'clock for the Jet finale, but that's a ways off and could change. All right, it is game day, 8:15 tonight. Joe Ostrowski coming up next. Be listening tonight for the ECMC halftime show. ECMC Go Where the Bills Go. Nate and Sal will recap the key moments of the first half and get you up to date on the Skyworks stats of the game. Skyworks Equipment Rental, building America from the ground up. Mike Shope and the Bulldog here with Joe O next. Time for a break. We'll be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
Game continues to roll along here as we get you ready for the Buffalo Bills to take on the Houston Texans down in Texas. Kickoff at 8:15, and at that time we're going to hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. 3 players have officially been ruled out for the Bills: tight end Dalton Kincaid and wide receivers McCole Hardman and Curtis Samuel, while defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis is the lone player who is questionable. While on the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out, as has safety Jalen Petrie, along with linebacker Jamal Hill. The Texans, though, don't have any other game day designations. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. Practice squad elevations will get announced later today, and then game day inactives are expected around 6:45. We also have some breaking news for the Bills from the last 20 minutes or so. A schedule flex for Buffalo. The league officially announced that when the Bengals do come to town in Week 14, the game is now going to be at 1 p.m. It was originally at 4:25. Now the Bears and Packers have taken that slot. And then some other notes in the NFL. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again a full participant at practice today. All signs point to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And then Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson back at practice today after missing yesterday with an ankle injury. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce Shore Border Attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Bills and Texans tonight, Week 12. Bills hope to get to 8-3 within a game of New England. Getting connected with the fans, powered by Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Buffalo Bills. Mike Shope and the Bulldog here, joined now by our regular Thursday guest at this time, Joe Ostrowski, host of Bet Sweats on the Bet MGM network. Joe has got to be feeling fresh right off his interview with Gracie the Witch this morning on Bets. How great is that?
Boy, I continue to miss out.
It's come to this.
Why the hell not? What is our future, Gracie the Witch?
I did not get her pick on the game tonight. I'm not sure if I saw the whole thing.
Well, you might not like Gracie the Witch because she's a big Chiefs fan.
Oh, right.
She had a lot to say about the Chiefs as well, but yeah, there was as far as me, it was interesting. She said I need to take care of my feet. The feet are a big thing, which is interesting because I have put off foot surgery for now a full calendar year. So I'm like, does she actually know something? But she ended up the conversation by saying that in my future, groups of women, which
Yes.
I enjoyed hearing.
Traveling with groups of women.
Yes.
I've been to an astrologer. Bulldog, have you?
No, I have not.
I did it for a newspaper article when I was writing. And I went to, this is a great story sometime. It doesn't have to be now. I mean, come on. But astrologer, tarot card reader, and psychic. And they were all very different. But the astrologer was easily my favorite. Same thing, Joe, where you have to tell them your exact date of birth and time. I don't even know if I know my time. Dinner time.
I had to get a copy of the birth certificate. Yeah, I knew the hour. I just wasn't sure the exact time.
Okay. I know the Bills got crushed by Dallas on the day I was born.
And if you just make it up, then you can't really trust
somebody else's.
You can't trust the results then.
Right.
And
in theory, I guess that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, what's Chicago like right now about the Bears? Chicago, and I think I know this somewhat through you. I think of Philadelphia this way. I somewhat think of us this way. Like we're kind of always expecting the worst. Mm-hmm. Are Bears fans like maybe? I mean, I bet they're excited. Are they optimistic, or do they sound more like, well, maybe sometimes you guys do with the Bears? Sam especially, because he's like, they're lucky and actually bad.
Yeah, no, definitely not Sam. I think it's somewhere in between. I think they understand the truth, but they want it to be real. But look, sometimes it doesn't mean they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, that's where I'm at. Yes, the schedule is going to get a lot tougher. The rest of the way, they're tied for the toughest schedule in football. But they got to this point, and if it's lucky, whatever it is, they've got 7 wins in the bank. So can you get 3 more? And that's what I'm looking at. And one of their most winnable games remaining happens to be this week. really all the talk isn't big picture. It's about this specific game. I guess it coincides together, but it's the Rodgers thing. Rodgers is in town. What does Rodgers want to do? He wants to be on that field. Why? Because he's had a lot of chuckles over his entire career about winning at Soldier Field, and he's talked about how he owns that building. He is 24-5 straight up in that building. He wants to be able to play. We'll see. He was wearing something in practice today, try to cover up the wrist. He's got a broken wrist on his non-throwing arm. So I don't know if he's going to play. If it's up to him, I definitely think he's going to play, and he's going to want to shove it up the Bears, one more time. But it's about the Bears getting the 3 wins. They've got Cleveland on there. They still haven't faced Green Bay, so they got them twice. Philly on Black Friday next week. San Francisco, Detroit. It's not an easy road, but they can get there. They've trailed 5 times in the last 2 minutes, and they've won 5 times.
They've won all those games.
They've won them all. Yeah.
Wow.
Those fourth quarter comebacks with Caleb, it's been crazy. Some of the finishes, there have been block kicks, a big kickoff return last week to set up the field goal position, but they've gotten there somehow. So, I think there's a decent chance they make it. They are now a favorite to make the playoffs for the first time all year.
Do Bears fans know that you can do something other than win the division and be one of the best teams in the NFC or be a joke? Like there's room in between. Like you can be a credible team building. Like, I mean, it's a brand new coach. The quarterback is just settling in. Like I think it should be promising, but that doesn't have to mean that they are going to win anything this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would, even if they were to get blown out, but they make the playoffs in the wild card round, I would look at it as a success. Ben Johnson just got here. He doesn't even have the players he wants for his offense. They still have a lot of work to do, especially defensively. They're missing their best player on defense, Jalen Johnson, all year. They're hoping he can return sometime soon. There are a lot of things going against them while they're going for them, if that makes any sense. But, yeah, there is a happy medium. You're right, Bulldog, and that's what's infuriating, at least about this fan base that I've had experience with my entire life. It's if something's positive, let's zoom. Oh, great. HBO, let's do another documentary on the Super Bowl Shuffle. I can't wait to see that. No, we don't have to go to 85 right away. There's a long way in between.
So true. We have a little bit of that with the Kelly Bills.
Yep.
Quite often we'll get callers comparing something about them to something from those teams. In fairness, the Bills, their last road playoff win was Jim Kelly versus Dan Marino. It's been a few good years here recently, but they still do not have a road playoff win since then, 92 AFC Championship. And, Joe, of course, this is a year where that might be necessary. I mean, well, they all have been, I guess, in the end because they didn't make it. But that's been the most fascinating thing about this season, at least in the AFC, is that Bills, Chiefs, Ravens are all looking up. They all have good playoff odds, but we're almost to Thanksgiving, and none of those teams is in first place.
I was looking at as I mentioned, the strength of schedule, and it's funny to see in the easy game column the Baltimore Ravens logo, the Kansas City Chiefs logo, because of their current record. Yeah, it's not completely flipped, but it's up there.
Oh.
You look at those top 4 seeds, I don't see Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore up there, and that was supposed to be the expectation, maybe even Cincinnati if you were expecting Burrow to be healthy.
Wow.
And how things have quickly changed this year. And, yeah, the path for all of these teams is going to be quite different. Maybe it's the teams that we expected in the beginning at the very end, but it's going to be challenging. Going to Denver is as tough as a road spot as you can find.
Yeah. I'm not looking at it right now, but I know earlier this week we talked about it. I think Kansas City had better odds to make the Super Bowl than to win the AFC West, which is wild. There's a couple of teams between them and the top, so that's a factor. But I wonder how much longer into the season. Like if we stay here with, obviously Kansas City and Baltimore are further behind than even the Bills are. The Bills are, a game and a half back of New England. I wonder how far into the season it'll get. We'll go right to the end of the year with the division odds because it's still. I think the betting markets are telling you they're expecting those teams to come from behind still.
Yeah, right now it looks like it's amazing to say it out loud and think about that. The odds are just about the same for the Chiefs between winning the AFC and winning their division right now because of how challenging it would be, the position that they've put themselves in. I got to tell you, if you look at the Super Bowl odds right now, I guess I understand putting the Rams and the Eagles at the very top because that's what we see. Everybody is flawed. I can poke holes in any team up there. I mean, I guess it's probably something that the league wants, but, I think it's a longer list than most years of going into Week 12 where I would say this number of teams, this many teams could win the Super Bowl because let's see who has home field, who's healthy, who's hot at the very end. Could it be 10 teams? Maybe. I think it could be, but we're at least at that 8 mark.
Yeah, Joe, I'd never really looked at this Bill season that way, but you called it easy column. So they have actually one win against a team right now that has a winning record.
And they've beaten the Chiefs and the Ravens.
That's right. They don't count.
Right.
It's only Tampa. It's only last week.
I think it'll count in the end. Those teams will have winning records. Yeah.
Probably will. So how do you want to play all this when it comes to the AFC? Are you, even if it's just in generalities, are you sooner expecting the Bills, Chiefs, blue blood crowds, if you will, to get through it? And if you are, then there's got to be some value in those teams as future plays, or whether it's Denver or New England or Indianapolis, I guess that's the list. Is it going to be one of those teams' year?
Well, that's the thing. There really isn't a lot of value. So, I mean, the Chiefs are, the 9 seed right now, but they're just barely dinging them a little bit. Okay, we'll knock you down a peg or two. The Chiefs are 10-1, 11-1. They're the 4th favorite, right behind the Buffalo Bills. So, if we go over the AFC side with the Super Bowl numbers, it's the Bills are the 3rd favorite, then it's the Chiefs, then it's the Colts. I'm still looking for the team that's the 1 seed right now. It's the Denver Broncos. Are they even in the top 10? Barely. They're the 9th favorite for the Super Bowl. So the betting market is saying, I really don't care right now who seeds 1, 2, and 3 are. We trust the quarterbacks that have been there in the past and the coaches that have been there to be there in the end. And plus, they also understand. If you knock down Allen and Mahomes, if you kind of flip the odds and put them where the Broncos are, for instance, or the Patriots, 15-1 for the Broncos, 18-1 for the Patriots, that people are going to bet the hell out of the Bills and Chiefs.
Yeah, it makes sense. With Joe Ostrowski, the Bills and the Texans tonight. Houston weather, number 2. Brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. It's 84 degrees and sunny. The game tonight will be played indoors.
Yes.
Stop snickering, Joe.
Joe,
I worked on baseball broadcasts a long time. I know about all those reads that you have to get in. I understand.
I'm sure you do. I know we talked this morning, so I kind of know a little bit what you're thinking, but tell everybody, if you would, a couple of thoughts you have on tonight's game.
Yeah, as far as specifically player props, what's going to be most bet? What are people looking at? Well, how do I attack that Bills rushing defense that has been non-existent throughout the season? And that's what they're doing. The most popular bet is Woody Marks, even though he hasn't been all that productive of late. That number is 64.5. That is the most popular bet to the over. And the way I look at it, I saw Chubb taking more snaps last week. Maybe he didn't get the same usage, but he's producing a lot more. Those 2 running backs have the same number of rushes, and Chubb has the edge as far as yards per carry by a decent margin. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually gets just as much work, where it's more split. And it went down, the usage for Marks last week, at least on the field. And so I could see that continue a little bit. So I was actually looking at Nick Chubb, the guy that was starting the season, with his prop at about 20.5, 21.5 rushing yards to go at the Bills. I don't think it would surprise you guys if both of them end up going over those numbers with the way the Bills' rush defense has been. So that has been a look for me. And, with this lights-out Texans defense, I see an underplay. I think there are a lot of avenues to an under game. Mike, you mentioned with us that you see a field goal game based on what you guys are saying in the first segment. I think you're thinking maybe a one-score game, a close-ish game, not a shootout. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm expecting it to be a lower-scoring game, and until the Bills stop the run, I would bet into that.
I could see it being a game, well, what is this to say? Closer to Bills-Panthers, where if Houston just can't hack it on offense. I mean, Chubb is not going to break anything. If I'm Houston, I'd rather try it with Marks, because so much of where the Bills are failing is once the running back gets out.
You're right.
Not that Marks is a burner per se, but I think it could be the kind of game where Houston's offense can't do anything. I think there is that, because, this defense did that against the Panthers. And in that case...
Right, and the Panthers had a very productive running game coming into that game.
Right. In that case, then it's sort of a yawner, and the Bills, maybe it goes over, maybe it doesn't. But, yeah, I'd sooner expect, like what you said, that it's a little bit more of a struggle for them on offense, and Houston does enough to stay in it. So I'm not inclined to give 6 points. 5.5 now.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting too, because 6 is like one of the secondary key numbers, and that's come down today. For about a day or so, it was sitting at 6, and then so obviously some respected money is backing Houston today, the home underdog. And as you mentioned, with the under, there could be a Bills blowout and the under still hits because Houston's not doing anything. I think that's another avenue to the under, and that's something else that I was considering.
Joe, we'll let you go. We'll figure out next week. If we don't talk, happy Thanksgiving, and thanks as always for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. We'll figure out next week, and enjoy Thanksgiving.
Joe Ostrowski from Bet Sweats, Bills Game Day powered by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living. Let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills. Enter now at WGR550.com for a chance to win $1,200 toward your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow, comforting today. We're open for phone calls going up until, I think, 5. Sal's going to join us at 5, so next hour is wide open. Mike Chopin, the Bulldog here. We need a break. We'll be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
dancing so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time.
Bills Game Day powered by Anderson Water, Power, and Air. Anderson, tap into better living. The Bills and the Texans tonight from Houston. Kickoff at 8:15. Whenever we play locker room audio, that will be brought to you by Reimer Home Services. Homes rely on the Rhino. Be listening at 5 during Countdown to Kickoff for Tailgate Trivia, presented by TSE Buffalo. You could win a Buffalo Bills autographed merch item courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. Do you have any Buffalo Bills autographed merch over there?
At my workstation, or you mean at home?
Anywhere,
Yeah.
wherever it is you keep your Buffalo Bills autographed merch.
I have a Jim Kelly commemorative Hall of Fame ball somewhere that they at one point sent over to me, which was very nice.
Nice, all right. I have a Kelly ball.
It's one of those with the white panels on it, so it's not like a game ball or anything. But
Same as mine, yeah.
Yeah. And somewhere would an O.J. Simpson autograph on a little piece of like reporter notebook size, like an index card size notebook on a piece of like torn out. I have O.J.'s autograph on a piece of paper like that.
Sure.
Somewhere.
Count it.
Yeah. That is it.
I have 2 Diggs balls.
It's a large gap in my collection.
What do I do with them?
It's like 1972 and I don't know, whatever, when Kelly went in the Hall of Fame. So 2002.
2002, I think.
Yeah.
Here's Jim with us. Hi, Jim.
Hi, I just had a quick question about McCole Hardman, like injury status. It seemed like, I know there was an issue with his calf, but he exited the game right after he fumbled, and it didn't seem like he was getting medical attention on the sidelines. I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were on that, or if you heard anything. I haven't been following it at all.
As far as I know, he's hurt. I wouldn't know. I don't know different, and otherwise it'd just be sort of guessing. But I don't know why they would play games with that.
I believe him to be hurt. I think he talked about not feeling it was that serious, but he acknowledged, I think, in the locker room after the game that he did have an injury. So I don't think there's anything mysterious going on. And if you want, I'll indulge. That would really surprise me. I know how coaches can be, and even this coach, he pulled James Cook out of a game 2 years ago because he fumbled on the first snap. So that can happen, but the way McDermott talked about Hardman's speed and how excited he was to have it on the roster and what he did on his first kick return as a Bill, I mean, I'd be really stunned if he were in the doghouse because he dropped a punt.
Thanks, Jim. Stay tuned following the game tonight for the Coach's Podium with head coach Sean McDermott, live during Bills postgame, brought to you by Northtown Kia, Western New York's #1 Kia dealer. We'll look for your calls after the break, 803-0550. Mike Shope and the Bulldog, Bills and Texans tonight here on WGR.
the street last night. Said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time.
It is Buffalo Bills game days. They get ready to take on the Houston Texans down in Houston. A pregame continues to roll along here next with Shope and the Bulldog. They will carry you all the way to kickoff at 8:15. We'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who are going to be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. 3 players have been ruled out for the Bills, tight end Dalton Kincaid and wide receivers McCole Hardman and Curtis Samuel, while defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis is the lone player who is questionable. On the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out, as has safety Jalen Petrie and linebacker Jamal Hill. The Texans, though, have no other game day designations. However, they have waived running back Damian Pierce to make room for cornerback Johnny Carter on the 53-man roster. The Barnes Transfer Portal is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. The inactives, they are expected around 6:45 tonight. We also have a schedule flex for the Bills. The league did officially announce that when the Bengals come to town in Week 14, the game is going to now be at 1 p.m. It was originally a 4:25 kick. Taking that place is now the Bears and Packers. Other notes in the NFL, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again a full participant at practice today. Signs are pointing to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson back at practice today after missing yesterday with an ankle injury. This update brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
The weather in Houston brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. 84 degrees, sunny. The game will be played indoors. It's an 8:15 kickoff between the Bills and Texans. Chris Brown and Eric Wood will have the play-by-play from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. That thing travels. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Delta Sonic Car Wash. It started out with a kiss. We're here for your calls at 803-0550. We get asked, how are the fans feeling? And sometimes I think to myself, I don't know.
I haven't talked to enough of you
I haven't
to really
talked to
know.
that many fans. Yeah. Right. I understand why you're asking me. I have a position where I might have heard from fans.
Even on a day when it's busy, which I wouldn't say today so far has been that, although we've only been on for an hour and, I don't know, a third of it was spent with Joe, so it's not exactly we haven't been that available. But anyways, even on a day when it's busy, I don't feel like we talk to that many people. So I can be uncomfortable with that question because I think I'm basing it on 8 people who got through to the show on a given day,
who usually are negative,
right? Like I don't know
because
I'm
they're
not
calling
sure
a radio show.
I much rather poll my friends or my neighbors. To get a better sense of how people are feeling.
Well, I know how I feel, which is just a couple general thoughts, attitudes about all this. I know I don't want to take too much from last week. Last week was a big relief and a nice win. I doubt they're going to have too many games remotely like that. Without a running game, without Shakir. They got big plays, and it helped them to overcome turnovers, and Tampa was kind to them with some of their game management stuff. So I know I don't want to take a month or more largely of angst, although Kansas City was good, and just erase it because of this Bucs game. I know I don't want to do – I'm not inclined to do that. I don't think they're in the clear. Offensively. I also think, though, even more big picture, that the whole season was always going to come down to January, and whatever it is you think they have or don't have for those games, we still don't know whether they have or not have it. You wanted a better wide receiver. They didn't trade for one. Shavers walked in the door. That looked good last week. Who knows? Like, they've got a bunch of guys who've done things. Kincaid is still out. I don't know. Like, it still could happen or not happen. So that has not at all been decided yet. And, seasons are a journey. They're almost always up and down. And we talk about the different weekly narratives to death. Probably they get to the playoffs, and then we'll see if people who thought they didn't have enough on offense were right, or that they need to run the ball more to win are right, or whether their defense is good enough.
Not being able to stop the run, does that doom them? Is that some fatal flaw? It might be. It also might not be. I mean, they got within a whisker of making it to the Super Bowl last year. Their run defense was pretty bad. I don't know if it was as bad as it is this year, like second worst in the league. But it was a problem. It has been a problem in general. I mean, it was because I was reminiscing about my traveling days when Owen was playing hockey. Like the Colt game from 4 years ago now. Like that happened. Like, run defense. It has been, I don't know, it's not exactly a false flag. I mean, it's bad, but it does not ever really hurt them. I.e., it doesn't keep them from getting deep into the playoffs and being a contending level team. I guess at some point maybe it will. If they run into Indianapolis in the playoffs and just cannot stop Jonathan Taylor, they could lose. I mean, that would be a scenario where that could really hurt them. But it's funny, like they get eliminated by teams that don't really exploit them running the ball when it comes to playoff time, right? Did Cincinnati run it really effectively against them when they beat them? I mean, I don't remember the stats. I just know that was a pretty easy game for the Bengals.
Just a little bit.
Maybe just enough, and maybe that's enough. I don't know. I'm not trying to gloss it over entirely. I just think it's something that we spend a lot of time arguing about that has failed to really doom them when they ultimately lose in the playoffs. Like they get where we want them to get anyways. Sometimes it's at home, sometimes it's on the road, but still they're winning playoff games and then eventually losing. And I don't feel like we come out of those games going, if only they could have tackled Isaiah Pacheco. But I don't know. I'm not trying to like rewrite it or anything, but that's just my perception sitting here, cumulatively all these years, looking back on them. So yeah, it's the season is such a trick to pull off, to stay focused on what knowing that it matters what form they're in come January. How healthy are you? Who are you playing? Where are you playing? How many times are you playing, right? The 1 seed, which has been elusive entirely for them. Those are things that matter more than what they look like in week 9, 10, or 11. Almost entirely. But yet we take what happens in weeks 9, 10, or 11. I'm just generalizing here. As, we take it for a ride and we're worried when it isn't going well and we feel good when it is. And I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard. You can't settle for, certainly in this job, going, wake me up in January.
No.
That the season is the season, and the ride of it should be a part of the enjoyment. And I do consider what we do here. Like I enjoy doing this. I don't think I'd still be doing it at my age if I didn't enjoy it. But it does feel at times just the littlest bit silly. Because what does it all mean in November when January is really what you think they should be and are focused on and what we're really focused on?
They have to make it, and with the Patriots this year, that's less of a sure thing. If they were to lose tonight, I think we'd be talking about that.
Yep.
Get away from the Patriots and figure out how do you get in with at Pittsburgh next week. Then the Bengals, the Bengals are not the toughest test. or even are the Steelers. But I think the focus shifts to getting into the playoffs tomorrow, late tonight.
Yes.
If they don't win the night.
I agree with that.
And Houston's in that mix. Like a loss year, you go to 7-4, and Houston does what, 6-5, having beaten you.
Yes,
so
that's right.
I think that's what we would have. Here's John with us. Go ahead, John.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Thanks.
I think for us to win this and go to the Super Bowl, we just have to stop being so predictable. I mean, when you watch them play, you see Cook go out there and you're like, oh, this is the run game. And then, from that point on, there is no competition and we fall down. If we just change it up per quarter, I think we would win, and we'd win right to the Super Bowl. That's what we need to change.
So what exactly would need to change?
Stop running the plays that don't work.
Exactly. I mean, change it up. Throw in some, no huddle offense. Change it up. Stop being predictable.
All right. I just wish I knew what that meant. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think Bulldog is right. No huddle is fun. Pick the pace up. I tend to like that for everybody. I'd like to see, more teams do that. But they don't play like that. Maybe last week changes that. We'll see tonight. But they tend to be the opposite. They play slower. And I think what that does is keep underdogs close, which is a part of the whole brand here that I think is off. Mario is next. Hello.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
Do you guys mind if I share Buffalo Bills autograph merch stories real quick?
I'm not sure we want to hear more than one, but okay.
Okay. Well, one of them, okay. My cousins got me an autograph of Lawyer Malloy back in 2003, only to get the poster back, and he made it out to Omarion. So now I have that sitting in my collection. But that was funny. So I'm not sure what to do with that one. But anyways.
You got to find somebody named Omarion is clearly what you have to
exactly.
do. Then it's theirs.
The other one was just I waited in line for hours at training camp only to get an autograph of Gerald Myers. I don't think he made the team that year. So that was a
Tough
training
one.
camp.
Yeah, that's not time well spent. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but no, I think at this point in the season, last week was fun, and I think it proved, if anything, that they could still do it. I think everyone doubted whether or not they could get a passing game going. But I don't know, against this Houston team, I hate to say it, but I think a key to victory might be how they used to play, running the ball, not turning it over. They have a really good pass defense, and I don't know. I'm at the point now where I really don't care how we win. I just want to get the wins. I'll be happy if they win 20-19. I mean, teams have struggled against Houston, and my Jacksonville friend told me just don't go into the fourth quarter with a 19-point lead. So that's what we should be afraid of. But I said I don't think we have to worry about that. But I don't know. I just want to win. At this point, we can nickel and dime it and analyze it to death. And I'm not going to be upset tomorrow if we win doing what we hate to see, as long as we get the win. So maybe I'm in the minority.
No, you're definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think you are. You might be in the minority of people who get through to call radio talk shows, but I don't think within the fan base, I think you're probably the majority by a large amount. Yeah, I mean, I think tonight will be really interesting. It's the timing of the opponents here, coming off of the game they had last week and doing what they did through the air and the way they did it. I'm not at all expecting to see that kind of game tonight. We could, I suppose. Maybe the Bills did unlock they found some skeleton key that just allows them to complete 20-yard or more passes with regularity now. But I think this opponent, I would be surprised if it's not a quicker passing game and a more run-heavy game. Now, what I would expect is that hopefully they've learned to not stay with the run if it's hurting them, especially on first down, that they'll get away from it and try to move the ball through the air and then hopefully loosen things up for running the ball later. But even the passing game tonight, I think the matchup on the outside is tough. Stingley is excellent. Lassiter is very good. He's not the level of player, I don't think, of Stingley, but I think he's very good. On the other corner, the nickel corner is a place to exploit because the usual guy is out. And so I think look for the ball. I would expect the ball to come out quick tonight. Both guys. Mills is also getting the ball out fast. But I think the Bills over the middle, like between the hashes, between the numbers, is a place to look. And maybe that's running backs again, circling out of the backfield. Leave a Ty Johnson or a James Cook in there in case there's a problem with the edge guys or anyone else. And then just let them kind of leak out. And maybe you can win that way on some plays. Not that those are necessarily plays you're not optimizing like a dump off to the running back as a safety valve. But I think that'll be there for them. And I think outside down the field should be more challenging given this team's defense. Those plays take a little longer sometimes, so you've got the pass rush to contend with, and then you've got talented guys on the outside for this team you're playing tonight. So to me, the middle is a game you really would like to have Kincaid, I think. But in his place, maybe it's a week for Shakir to, he's not, unless he breaks one, he's not going to pile up yards, but I could see an 8 for 60 from Shakir tonight. Because I think the middle of the field should be available there. And, again, the nickel corner, slot corner matchup should be advantageous for them.
Don't forget that he's been hurt, Shakir. I think that helped contribute to his small production in last week's game. And I don't know how much better he feels, but he'll be active, I assume. Speaking of injuries, not in tonight's game, but there's a prominent name reportedly hurt today. Limited in practice because of it. Daniel Jones.
Oh.
Calf. That's from Ian Rappaport. Colts at Chiefs Sunday. That's also a 1 o'clock game. Same as... No, wait, we play tonight. Same as other 1 o'clock games. Indianapolis at Kansas City, Sunday at 1. Thank you. Dennis is next. Hello.
Hey, guys. So I think some of, to answer your question, I think we're a little bit about what fans are feeling. And I think some of the angst that I've felt throughout the season is, them finding themselves a little bit. I feel like all the way up until now, we still don't really know what their identity is. And I think as a fan, if you have no idea what your team is going to look like from week to week, I think it just provides a little bit of angst. I feel like last week was the first time, at least in the second half, pretty much the entire season, where the Bills just looked like they went 4 wide, and they let Ty Johnson play a little bit more in the backfield. He was picking up blitzes. Josh was calling out protections and just kind of ripping it a little bit more, which we just haven't seen. And you start to see, Knox down the middle of the field, Palmer down the middle of the field, guys getting open in places that you haven't seen all year long. It's been so much quick game. It's been a 50% run, and then a lot of the passes have been just an extension of the run game where you're just winging it outside. And it just looked different last week, and it looked like vintage Bills a little bit more, where it was Josh is able to read the field from the inside out. He didn't look like he was just trying to back shoulder throw some balls to Keon Coleman or something. He had guys down the middle of the field, and, that's the old offense. And I don't know why I've been kind of saying this a lot all year. If you remember my calls, you probably know I've been saying this, but I just don't really understand why we felt so much like we had to get away from that and turn into somebody that we just wanted to be instead of somebody who we are. I feel this is who we are. We're a NASCAR team. And I kind of felt like over the first 10 weeks we were a demolition derby team. And I don't know why Joe Brady kind of seemed to turn us into that. But, if he could just let us go and be who we are, man, I just feel like that's the best. And what you were just saying, Bulldog, about Shakir down the middle of the field, yeah, let's do it. There's nothing precluding us from doing that. We just haven't done it. There's no reason why we can't. I would love to see that. I would love to see it tonight.
Interesting. I think you could go either direction with NASCAR as the reference. right?
I mean, when mentioned as in comparison to Demolition Derby,
Sure,
then you've got it, right? But maybe you
compared to
might
F1.
want F1, right? What you want is F1, but still, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I think this matchup, I like, I'm talking about the middle of the field, but I'm talking short. I'm not talking about pressing the ball way down the field. I'm talking quick, and maybe we omitted that in Dennis's analysis. Like that is what I expect to see tonight. I like that they did what they did last week. I'm just not sure that this is an advantageous matchup to do it in. And why did they scale back? I mean, I think fear of turnovers, fear of mistakes, and it's possible they've overdone that they're too scared of it and neutered something that they were proficient at that was scary about them for opposition, and maybe getting back in touch with it would be a healthy thing. I don't disagree in general. I'm not sure tonight is the night that I expect to see more of what we saw last week.
Thanks, Dennis. Be listening tonight for the ECMC halftime show. ECMC, go where the Bills go. Nate and Sal at halftime will recap the key moments of the first half and bring you up to date on the Skyworks stats of the game. Skyworks Equipment Rental, building America from the ground up. Hey, Al Michaels tonight.
Right.
That's exciting.
Kirk.
Except for what he told us the last time he was on with us back in September, I was thinking, what was the first Bills game we had Al for? And when he came to Monday Night Football, I mean, the Bills hadn't really been on very often, but it would have been, there was a Jet game in 1988. Maybe he was there earlier than that. But I didn't even get to the point of looking that up because I remembered the story he told us in September about how he filled in on a Bills-Vikings game in 1971, before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Al Michaels was broadcasting a Bills game before I was born in Minnesota in October of 1971. So that would have been the first. I forget the story now, but
me too.
He subbed in Minnesota and
right.
Did that game. But 88, when the Bills got good in 88, I mean, it was a process. 87 better than 88. They took off. And I just loved it so much. And that Flip Johnson game was a Monday night game at the Jets. Like, are they good enough to go? You really hadn't seen the Bills play on the road at night and have any success. Like, that was just not a Bills thing at all.
Right.
Never been one.
They weren't really invited to that party often.
No. And then when they were, there were a couple of duds, like the Dallas game in 81, whatever. Here they go to the Jets, and they just blew them out. Flip Johnson caught a bounce, deflected pass, and went all the way. Al Michaels was on that. That's long enough ago. It's not before I was born, though.
That is a long time ago.
So he's seen a few things. We'll break here and talk some more about Bills Texans after the next update. Getting connected with the fans is powered by Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Buffalo Bills. It's time for us to take a break. We'll be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
It is Buffalo Bills game day. Bills down in Houston to take on the Texans for Thursday night football. Pregame's going to continue on with Schopp and the Bulldog here, and they will carry you all the way to kickoff at 8:15, where we'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. For the Bills, 3 players have already been ruled out: tight end Dalton Kincaid and wide receivers McCole Hardman and Curtis Samuel, while defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis is the lone player who is questionable. While on the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out, as has safety Jalen Petrie and linebacker Jamal Hill. But that is the Texans' only game day designations. Everyone else should be good to go. The team, though, did make some roster moves. Running back Dameon Pierce has been waived, and that is to make room for cornerback Johnny Carter to the 53-man roster. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. The inactives are expected around 6:45. We do have some schedule news for the Bills. Their game against the Bengals in Week 14 has been flexed from 1 p.m. from 4:25 to 1 p.m. Now in that 4:25 slot, it is going to be Bears-Packers. And then some other notes in the NFL. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again, a full participant at practice. This is 2 days in a row, and now signs are beginning to point to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And then Colts quarterback Daniel Jones, limited today with a calf injury after having no injury designation yesterday. The Colts do take on Kansas City on Sunday. Then for the Chiefs, both running back Isaiah Pacheco and wide receiver Xavier Worthy were limited at practice today. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce Shore Border Attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
We know we have the talent in the room. Yeah. We know we have the skill in the room. We just haven't been doing what we need to do to get the results that we're looking for. So we just have to tweak a couple things, fix a couple things. It's not like we changed the whole playbook or anything. It was the little things, the real small things that we had to lock in on.
Tyrell Shavers, big touchdown catch for the Bills on Sunday. It's not even really last week yet. 4 for 90 and a score for Shavers. Who is Tyrell Shavers? Who is Navin R. Johnson? Shavers, well, he played at 3 schools: Alabama, Mississippi State, and San Diego State. So he got around a little bit in college. That's the thing now. He's from Texas.
Yeah, not uncommon anymore, right?
Not uncommon. He's from Texas. He's 26. He's been here, 2+ years?
Yeah, I think this was his 3rd camp. I hope I have that right, but I think he was a practice squad guy each of the last 2 years. Got on the field last year in the finale against the Jets, right? Had like a long touchdown reception against the Jets. That was him.
It wasn't the finale, but it was near then.
Sorry. That's right. It was, that's right. The finale was in New England, and they didn't need it. But yeah, that was when they killed Rodgers and the Jets. So yeah, I mean, he's been around. He's one of these guys that every year it's sort of like, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? And he finally broke through to actually make the roster this year after having been around on the practice squad. And now I don't know, like he's got an opportunity. He's like, without Keon Coleman in the lineup, Shavers, I mean, opportunity was there and he took advantage.
And that's expected to be the case tonight, too, that Coleman won't play. It's been reported in multiple places. The weather in Houston is brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. It is 85 degrees and sunny. The game tonight will be played indoors. Let's go to Joel next. Hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, this angst, I don't know. Everybody, what's our offensive identity? We've proven we can do both. Our identity is that coaches do not think on their feet. We can run the ball, we can throw the ball. I mean, I don't get that. I think it's more of a coaching aspect as far as the problem with the offense. And I think maybe, I don't know if they're holding it. I don't get it, for the playoffs or whatever. But, when they need to turn it on, they can turn it on. We got the best arm in football. I don't see an angst in what we can do. I see an angst of when we do it. You know what I mean? Like tonight, we know we're going to have to do it. And if it doesn't work, change it very fast. And my second point is, defensively, I know, he statistically had a good game. Bernard had a good game as far as, like, tackle stuff. But how many times was the arm tackling last week? I mean, even my wife and I was like, there it is. I said, middle linebackers need to hit. We need to hit. I would love to see him put a little bit of a bigger – you know where I'm going with this.
I actually have no idea.
I'd rather see Thompson and Williams in there more often than I would Bernard and Milano. Because if they're running it, just situational.
Yeah.
We're a situational defense. If they're running it, you got to put someone in there and spank someone. Middle linebackers hit.
Yeah, I think their linebacker play. Listen, I think you're on the right track there. I'm not sure about your take on the offense because I don't think they've proven that they can throw the ball downfield anytime they want. They did it successfully last week, and that was exciting because it had been kind of missing in action most of the year. I don't want to excuse the KC game, but most games when the Miami game just happened, right? That's pretty recent. Their passing offense looked ridiculous in that game, and it has all too often. So I don't think they're out of the woods in that department. But as far as the linebackers go, I think Milano and Bernard, I don't know how hurt Milano might still be. Bernard is nursing. You watch him play. He cannot. The play with Mayfield last week in the open field tells you all you need to know, like what sort of shape he's in. And like physically, I think he's arm tackling because he can't really push off. His lower body, at least one side of it, is not, he can't trust it. So I'm sort of with you. I think Shaq Thompson looked like kind of their best linebacker for a few weeks before he got hurt. And that's not something I expected to happen, but I think it might be true, and it still might be true. I think both Milano and Bernard have had very tough years. And I don't know that that's changing anytime soon. Maybe they get healthier, but I'm not sure that Milano isn't as healthy as he's ever going to be again. Bernard is younger and still could recover from whatever is ailing his lower body right now, but they're not the same players that they were right now, really at all. I don't think it's even that close.
I don't think Houston should be a team that can light up their linebackers, can light up their defense. Interesting to hear Joe Ostrowski on Nick Chubb. I like his logic. They just played in Tennessee. I mean, Chubb has had, he pointed to the more efficient or productive season, but it's not dramatic. And Marks played way over Chubb in Tennessee. Like it might have been 18 carries to 3. And it was a close game. So it sort of signals that Houston has moved on from Chubb. But his logic was, thinking about Tennessee as an easier opponent, then the short week, maybe they come back with Chubb, who's a little bit fresher. I think that's interesting. Neither of these guys should be able to run away from, especially Chubb, should be able to run away from the Bills' defense. Now, should Sean Tucker have been somebody who could do that?
Or Baker Mayfield, even.
Right?
Like, that's part of the point, right?
Marks is okay. He's not huge. He's just sort of a okay, maybe league average or less kind of running back, I think. He's a rookie. So we'll see what they want to do there. But if he gets out and then you see the Bills look slow like they look on the second level, oh man, then what's gonna fix this?
Right. This is not Devin Achane. But
it's not Achane.
But you're right. Tucker exploiting them like he did last week. Like that is not someone you would have expected going into the game that would be capable of doing that either.
Even Rachaad White a little bit. Like he didn't have the big plays or the touchdowns, but I don't think it'll get easier for the Bills against the run than this game, probably. There's not a lot to scare you passing-wise. Collins is really good. That's kind of it. They've got other players. This needs to not be a game where the Bills get trampled. Because if it is, I'll have a tough time imagining it getting better. You know, even like the Steelers and the Bengals are not great running teams. The Steelers, though, that's next Sunday, and they're going to show up with their 4 tight ends, and Darnell Washington being among them, and go with Warren and Gainwell. Everybody's just going to try to bully them. I need to see them not get bullied by the Houston Texans. And that doesn't mean the Texans have to score in the 30s, just moving the chains and all of that. Really need that for the Bills here, or else they're just going to be a patsy against the run.
Yeah,
the whole way.
Their run defense is enough of a concern that even if you're playing a team that doesn't have guys that can house call you, and that even holds true in the game, like we just said about Tampa, didn't exactly have that, and it still happened anyways. But even if you contain that, you can still get burned plenty by just them, running the ball and averaging 5 or 6 yards a carry. You're going to be in tough all night if that is what you're doing. Like sometimes one big run can really skew those numbers, but if you have a game where, they get 125 yards on 20 carries and none of them are more than 20 yards, you're still having a bad day. Because that's going to keep drives going for them if they do it often enough. So
10 games this year, in 5, the Bills have given up 189 yards rushing or more. Maybe ironic to think that the Patriot game was their best run defense game. Only 71, they lost. But we go to Craig next. Hi, Craig.
Hey, guys. To me, this is the Bills need to stay within themselves on both sides of the ball. That is a great defense Houston has. Josh will have his Superman moments, but can you just don't turn the ball over? Take what they give you. Because I don't think Houston's offense, even with their defense being shaky, can really stick with the Bills. And I don't think that they'll put up, bonzo numbers. And on defense, like you said, not a great rushing attack. Can you just make some plays, those 3rd and longs, force them to pass where you can pin your ears back with your pass rush, your secondary's been better, and you can make plays. A workman-like game like last year's night game against the Jets where you just try to keep it clean and you can kind of stay ahead of a team that you should be able to stay ahead of, even respecting how good that defense is.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills. Enter now at WGR550.com for a chance to win $1,200 toward your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow, comforting today. The Line coming up. I know you're excited about that.
Yeah.
Mike Shope and the Bulldog here. Time for us to take a break. We'll be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
I got beat up that game. Didn't play well at all. Watching that film, there's a lot of good stuff to watch from that film, but it's hard to watch. I played pretty badly. So, yeah, hopefully we can go out there and play a little bit better and move the ball a little bit better. But, again, this defense is no easy task to go against, and it's going to take everything that we got from everybody on the field.
Josh Allen, I'm assuming he's talking about the Bills' visit to Houston last year. Locker room audio brought to you by Reimer Home Services. Homes rely on the Rhino. The Bills have not won in Houston since 2006. 5 losses, including the playoff loss in 2019. Last time they won in Houston was the famous, quote famous, Lee Evans.
So this game came up just yesterday or the day before, right? Yeah.
2 83-yard touchdown receptions in the first quarter. His number.
To number 83, right.
And then Peerless Price caught one, all from J.P. Lossman to win it. That's the Bills' last win in Houston. Be listening next hour during Countdown to Kickoff for Tailgate Trivia presented by TSE Buffalo. Oh, you know what? This could have been maybe good, or is that too hard for Tailgate Trivia? You could win a Buffalo Bills autographed merch item courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. Here's Steve with us. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what's up, guys? Nice job with the show.
Thank you.
Hey, I listen all the time. I love to listen. I'm more of a member of the gum-chewing public, but I just wanted to say that I think it's a complete overreaction that every time we lose that Coach McDermott's job's in question. We've benefited from a lot of really great football, a lot of player development, too, that I can think of, like maybe Terrell Bernard subbing in for Tremaine Edmonds. This time last year, Cole Bishop was going to be a lost pick, and now he's like a surprise on the defense, and even Josh Allen. I just think the coach should get more credit for the development that he's done with the players, and we're always finishing high at the end of the season. And how many years did we have to listen to the guy in New England talk down and be snarky to the media? I don't think you get any of that with Coach McDermott. I think he, represent the city and the team with a lot of class if we can win a trophy. So I just wanted to throw that out for him. I think he's a good coach, and I like having him on our team.
Thank you, Steve. I agree with much of that. I don't think. Again, it's, I think, a situation maybe where what you hear on WGR is not at all reflective of the general fan base. It's the complaint. We're the complaint department. So I don't really think it's real that whenever they lose, he's, under fire or anything like that. Every time we've talked about it in a serious way, it ends up being said, like, do you even really think the Bills would consider this for a minute? And for me, that answer has always been no. I'm not sure that is going to be true forever, but I doubt they've ever come close to making a move on McDermott because I think they look at it, who's they? Terry Pagula? I think he probably looks at it like McDermott is a blessing for as much failure as he's had, too, with the Sabres. I don't know. I've never been close to thinking that ownership would be down on McDermott, but they're not telling me that. By the way, speaking of McDermott, stay tuned following tonight's game, the coach's podium with head coach Sean McDermott during the Bills postgame show. It'll be brought to you by Northtown Kia. What? Western New York's #1 Kia dealer.
They're going to have him talk again after the game?
That's happening tonight.
They still do
no,
that?
that is happening tonight.
Sorry, you're trying to do a serious sponsorship read. You don't need me.
Serious.
You don't need me over here heckling. It's not, you do all of that. I should. The least I can do is keep my mouth shut while you're reading that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I should be hard on myself for this. I don't like that I just did that.
Frank is next. Hello, Frank.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call, gentlemen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for calling.
It's my choice.
My observation with the defenses I've been seeing a lot lately is, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but this is what I'm seeing. On the ends, I think we over-pursue. We don't stay home enough there. I think we run right by the plays a lot right there.
Yeah, Bosa especially has been, he had a tough game in this department last week, and he's been the victim more than once of having his head in the falling for the runner instead of staying with the quarterback or vice versa. He's had a tough time with that. The trade-off is he is still winning a lot of reps and causing disruption in the passing game. But in the run game, he's had some tough moments.
Now it's time for The Line, presented by FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Bills are 5.5-point favorites on the road. I think it's a lot. 43 is the total. I'm not eager to bet against the Bills, but objectively, I would take the 5.5. Houston's defense at home, short week, etc. I'm going to have some fun with, hopefully, hit one of these two touchdown props. Elijah Moore at plus 1,000 to score if he's in for Samuel. There could be a role there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a red zone jet sweep kind of a play. There's no known heavy target on this team on passing situations close to the goal line. And I'm going to take Houston to score on defense. Allen's been getting hit. The turnovers are back. And Houston has an aggressive defense with stars on it. So plus 725.
My starter pack would be, conversely, I'm going to take a Bills defensive touchdown. I think this quarterback with Houston, Mills, the backup, is going to try to get the ball out of there quickly to his first read, and I think that should present some opportunities. I might even like Hairston to do it, but I don't have to select an individual to make that play. But he's already got 2 picks. He's barely played, so I like that. And I might pair that with a couple of James Cook touchdowns. It's been a couple of weeks since the Bills have gotten their running game off. Cook had a huge game against Carolina, a very good game against Kansas City, but 53 yards last week, 48 last week, 53 the week before that. I think it could be tough sledding, but I think they will try to establish that. So I like Cook to score twice in this game.
I can't find a price this fast, but you can also bet no touchdown will be scored at all in these sometimes.
Yeah.
We had a game earlier this year, Atlanta, Minnesota, that went to the fourth quarter without a touchdown. It can happen.
Yeah.
Seattle, Chicago last year, 6-0.
If you want the odds, by the way, plus 600 for Cook to score twice and plus 800 for the Bills defense to score a touchdown.
That'll work. We'll come back, and Sal will join us from Houston. Mike Shope and the Bulldog. This is the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
in Houston to take on the Texans for Thursday night football. Pregame is going to continue along with Shope and the Bulldog. They're going to carry you all the way to kickoff at 8:15. We'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. The Bills, just moments ago, did announce some roster moves. They've elevated tight end Kaliki Latu and wide receiver Gabe Davis, but have placed wide receiver McCole Hardman on injured reserve. We also have some other injury designations for today. 3 players have been ruled out for the Bills: tight end Dalton Kincaid, and wide receivers, McCole Hardman and Curtis Samuel. And then defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis is the lone player who is questionable. While on the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out, as has safety Jalen Petrie and linebacker Jamal Hell. The Texans, though, have no other game day designations. They, though, have waived running back Damian Pierce to make room for cornerback Johnny Carter on the 53-man roster. The Barnes for Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. The inactives are expected around 6:45. We also have some schedule news today for the Bills. The league did officially announce that when the Bengals come to town in Week 14, the game is now going to be at 1 p.m. It was originally a 4:25 kick, but now in that place, it is going to be Bears-Packers in that slot. And then some other notes in the NFL. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again, a full participant in practice today. The signs are beginning to point to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And then Colts quarterback Daniel Jones, limited today with a calf injury after having no injury designation yesterday. The Colts do take on Kansas City on Sunday, while for the Chiefs, both running back Isaiah Pacheco and wide receiver Xavier Worthy were limited. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joy Shore Border Attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
$23 left. We'll see if the Bills run that tonight. 23 left.
Was that in the yeah, all right, yeah.
Omaha.
Sure.
What team was I watching where the quarterback called out Tiger Woods as a play? Monday night? Maybe?
I didn't catch it.
Raiders?
I don't know. I hardly watched Monday Night Football this week. The Sabres were playing opposite, and by the time I got to it, it was over.
Somebody had a Tiger Woods play.
Yeah.
Mike Shope and the Bulldog here. Sal Capaccio in Houston in a moment. The weather in Houston? 84 and sunny. The game will be played indoors. The weather report is brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet. Score big with new Chevys and quality pre-owned vehicles from Paddock Chevrolet. 8:15 tonight. Bills and Texans. Chris Brown, Eric Wood from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Countdown to kickoff is presented by Northtown Automotive. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Northtown. Let's bring Sal on, someone who would know what the weather is like in Houston without an app because he's there. What is the scene, Sal? Are we in the stadium?
I am in the stadium. I'm actually, believe it or not, my good buddy John Harris, the sideline reporter of the Texans, knew I was doing a radio spot with you, and he said, would you like to go into my studio? I'm like, yeah. So I actually I'm sitting. It looks like One Bills Live. It's Texans All Access. I'm in his studio right now, plugged into his mic, and I can't thank him enough because it's really nice in here, and it gives me a chance to kind of talk to you guys in a stale environment. But just outside these doors is the stadium. I've been on the field already, and there's a lot of red around. The Texans wearing their red jerseys tonight. The roof is closed. It's beautiful outside, but it's going to be temperature controlled inside.
And is there a playbook around since you're in Texans All Access?
Ooh, I'll have to see. I don't know if we'll have to see if D'Amico Ryan's left something here that I can grab, from John. I don't know if he tells John the game plan or not. So, but no, it's really nice in here, so I appreciate him letting me do that.
I did see, because I don't know if you know this, Sal, but I do follow you on social media. I saw a picture from the broadcast location where Chris and Eric will be calling the game. Of course, you'll be on the sidelines. Is that the highest vantage point, and does that make it the worst? Because Miami was in a corner, was it not?
Yeah, it is. Maybe John knows the answer to this. It's 251 feet above the field, the radio booth. I don't know if it's the highest. Kansas City might be higher. I'm not really sure. New Orleans, John says, is the highest, actually. Okay. Kansas City is very high. When you can actually see over the stadium into the parking lot in Kansas City. This is definitely one of the higher booths in the league. However, I think, and I can't speak for Chris, but, working with Chris, working with Murph, doing some play-by-play in my own life, I would say that when you're that high, sure, it's challenging, but it's better than as long as you're near the midfield,
right,
which you are.
Right.
That's right. In Miami, you're lower, but in the corner you just can't see anything.
Right.
Same thing. Washington used to be that way. They moved it a little bit, but so I wouldn't say. So I think it's worse to be location-wise as far as perimeter, but higher up. MetLife is pretty high, but it's a nice booth because you can kind of see everything. So it's a little bit higher. I think the windows do open. That's a key for a lot of the play-by-play guys, and it's loud in the stadium for sure.
Did you ever do a game in the Carrier Dome? I did, and it was perfect. It's like low, central. Like, what a great spot. Maybe it's different now, but that was a great spot.
Oh, like they had you not on press row doing it? Like on the floor?
No, football.
Oh, yes, I've been up there. I have not done a game. I've been in that booth. Yes, you're right. That is a nice spot to do a football game. I agree, yes.
For sure.
Sorry, I'm thinking basketball because I'm so used to basketball games and, watching them in the Dome.
Right on. All right, so there is a little bit of roster news here we have with Gabe Davis and Latu brought up. They both played last week. McCole Hardman to IR. Is that the extent of it?
That's the extent of it that I know of. So that means there's an open roster spot next week. So I wonder if they re-sign Brandon Codrington to the roster next week. I don't know. Or do they sign Gabe Davis to the roster next week? Because this is now his second elevation. He only gets 3. If you go 3 elevations with Gabe Davis and you don't put him on the roster, well, Gabe Davis can go sign somewhere else too, by the way, right? He'll be he's a free agent as a practice squad guy. He's technically a free agent. He is actually. So I just think that there's got to be some moves coming next week here, and we'll find out what that is. Right now, only 52 players on the roster with this move. It really, it stinks for McCole Hardman Jr., and it stinks for the Bills' return game because he gave it a lot of juice. I mean, that helped a lot in the first kickoff of the game, and took it past midfield. That was really great. Obviously, and we know why Latu's up, guys, because there's no Dalton Kincaid. They want to roll with 3 tight ends. We still don't know, and we won't know until 6:45 p.m. Eastern time when the inactives come out, if Keon Coleman will be active or inactive. According to all the various reports out there, it looks like that in Cover 1 reported as they did last week, and they were right on that. So we'll credit them if they are again, that he is inactive, but nothing's official until that happens.
So if I may, forgive me if I'm being naive here, Kalecki Latu is the player. So if they're at 52, is that then there'll be 1 fewer player inactive tonight? They're not going to play a man short.
No.
And is the reason for this like a matter of the limitations on moves when it comes to the practice squad, or else why not bring up someone else? Maybe they just don't need to if they don't plan on playing them?
No, it doesn't matter, Mike. You'll still get what happens is on game day, as long as you have 8 active offensive linemen, you get 48 active players. So it could be 48 out of 53. Well, I guess now because you elevate 2, you'd be 48 out of 55, or you'd be 48 out of 54. It doesn't matter. But you still get 48 active players. You'd have 1 less inactive tonight is what you'd have.
Right. And with Codrington not being on the active roster and not being elevated, what do you think that means to is that a sign that Khalil Shakir is returning punts? Probably.
Probably, yeah. I do find it interesting. Shakir really didn't practice this week because him and his wife welcomed a child into the world. But he dealt with the ribs and the ankle, but he did play last week. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that Keon Coleman would be active just to return punts, but he has actually done it too if you wanted to do something like that. I don't think they would. It just seems like he would be the only real option here would be Khalil Shakir to return punts unless someone like Elijah Moore, who's done it a little bit, I guess. But, yeah, to me, this means Khalil Shakir is probably returning punts tonight.
No one else on the roster other than Coleman, with Codrington not here and with Hardman on IR, has returned a punt all season, except for Shakir. Like, Shakir has 6, Coleman has 1, and that's everybody. So Samuel has, kick returns, Davis, but that's a different job.
Right, and Samuel's already out.
And Samuel's already out.
So kick returns is probably Ray Davis and Ty Johnson then, or I guess it could be Elijah Moore. Has he done that at all? I don't even know. And that's if he's active, which I would guess. It sounds like we've talked already with the short week a couple of times around this, trying to figure out what Coleman's way back onto the game day roster would be. I thought Davis was the linchpin there. Like, if they trusted Davis enough health-wise after not playing for so long, then playing a game on Sunday, short week, that to me had to be, because I thought really with Samuel down, we knew that earlier in the week, that probably Moore would replace him. And if Davis is up, then I think that all but cinches it for Coleman.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It feels like that's the case, especially just after how well those guys, Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis, seamlessly just fit into the offense and played last week. I thought it was a tough ask to even think about Keon Coleman coming in from a personnel standpoint, let alone a discipline standpoint. He could do everything right all week. He could show up at meetings all week on time. He could have a great week of practice, but hey, man, they just threw for 270 yards, and the offense looked good last week, and Tyrell Shavers gave you everything you needed on the boundary, and Gabe Davis was available in the scramble drill and, had a big fourth down catch. I mean, where do you fit him? What do you do?
Yeah, Coleman being inactive, but there's just some chatter I'm seeing on social media, like fans wondering if he's been a problem this week or something. And I never thought that had to. I'm not telling you I know that it didn't happen, but him being inactive to me does not have to be a sign that they don't like how he handled himself this week at all. It's just simply we were productive. It's a short turnaround, and Gabe Davis right now maybe outranks you. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. And I agree with you. And I would not jump to a conclusion that if Keon is indeed inactive, he did anything to warrant that from a discipline standpoint. I think this is just a tough ask from a game last week where these guys played well. You scored a lot of points. You have 4 days to prepare. And what do you do on a short week? All players will tell you, coaches will tell you, you can't start getting exotic in a short week. You go out there and you play. Like, you line up and you play, and this is not a familiar opponent. The Texans, the Bills, they don't know each other that well. They're not a division team. You go out there and you play. So I think that you're probably looking at Keon being inactive tonight. We'll see what happens there. And then you get 10 days. And how does he acclimate himself? That's the next test, right? Yep. I mean, that's 10 days before they play the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's okay. Getting back to the facility, doing everything right, having a practice week, and seeing where it goes right there.
Sal Capaccio with us. Countdown to kickoff. It's the Northtown Hyundai pregame huddle. Northtown Hyundai, Western New York's premier Hyundai dealership. So what do you think the Bills on offense tonight want to be like? Is it a continuation of last week? If they can pull it off, it's a very different challenge that they're facing. But are you thinking more that they want to try to run back what went well last week, or are we going to maybe instead see the Bills try at least to get back to James Cook?
I mean, I think they'll try to get back to James Cook because it's what they do best. They run the ball best. But, I mean, this is the biggest challenge they faced all year. The number one scoring defense in the league, the number one overall defense in the league. I mean, you can't really pick anything that you can do really well against the Texans that other teams have done well. So I think you lean into your strengths here. You run the ball with James Cook, and you try to establish a run game. And the bigger reason for that would be also you don't want to be, if you can at least get 3-4 yards on first down and second down and get in third and short, you're not putting Josh in a third and long situation against these edge rushers. You're not putting him in a third and long situation, try and sit back there and have D'Amico Ryans and his Texans come after you and take shots. So I think that's the way you have to play it tonight. And then I would really like to see the running backs get involved in the pass game tonight. I think that, you go against these Texans linebackers are very good. Maybe you can try to take a little advantage of them in the cover game. If you have to use Ty Johnson and James Cook, they both had big catch and run last week. I'm glad to see them getting back involved in the passing game. No Dalton Kincaid really hurts this team tonight. And then we've talked about what's going on with Jalen Petrie, a fantastic player. Miles Bryant comes in, and that was Isaiah McKenzie beat Miles Bryant all over the field when he was in New England a couple of years ago. And maybe there's a matchup there with Shakir or even Elijah Moore that you can try to take advantage of on a few plays.
Yeah, I like the middle of the field in this game, Sal. I think the corners on the outside are very good to excellent.
Corners.
Right. So, I don't want to say don't fly there at all, but I feel like if there's a spot, maybe get it out quick. Even you mentioned the running backs, and I know I don't want to build my offense around like outlet passes necessarily, but with this pass rush, I could see keeping a running back in and then leaking out into the middle, and that being a way to sort of, get out of some situations where, maybe the rush is a problem and might have a good matchup in the middle of the field with either Ty Johnson or James Cook.
Yeah, I like that thought. And who else might be a sneaky play tonight is Jackson Hawes. Jackson Hawes didn't Dawson Knox outsnapped him pretty significantly on Sunday. I think this is a kind of game to further your point, Bulldog. If you want to really establish a run, you put Jackson Hawes out there. He's not this pass-catching, stretching tight end, but we've seen him, catch a few passes here and there. And if the Texans want to counter personnel with knowing, hey, he's on the field, he's going to be a blocker, maybe there's an opportunity or two to get him, involved in the passing game for a few catches.
So, Sal, what about on defense for the Bills against Davis Mills, not C.J. Stroud, still out with a concussion? This is going into a fourth game. He'll miss at least some of, so it doesn't sound great. But Mills has been around. He was the predecessor to Stroud. He led the Texans in passing for a couple of seasons before they drafted Stroud. Is he your average backup, better or worse? What kind of threat is Davis Mills?
I actually always thought that Davis Mills could compete for a starting job on some teams in this league. I've been a fan of his as a guy that's come into this league, and I can't remember the exact draft class who he was with, but I always remember thinking, maybe he's the guy that would come out of that class because what we saw early on in his career. I think there are spots in this league where he could see more playing time and have a chance to compete for a starting job. But he is a backup quarterback. He comes in here, and I think he's very smart for this one reason. He throws the ball a lot to Nico Collins. I mean, Nico Collins had... He had 16 catches over the last 2 weeks. I think 26 catches or 24 catches, something like that. 23 now, I add in my head, over the last 3 games. 192 yards over the last 2 games. It is get used to Nico Collins getting the ball fed to him tonight. So I think the Bills understand. That's what they have to do. They have to shut down and slow down Nico Collins because that's exactly what Davis Mills is going to want to do. That being said, he's an accurate passer. He knows where to throw the ball. He's a smart guy. Not that he has this highest completion percentage, but he's a guy that's seen everything. He's seen the Bills before in a Sean McDermott defense a few years ago. It didn't go as well for Houston in that game, 2 different teams. But he's a guy that's been around the league enough, and they trust him. They trust him enough to throw the ball a lot when they had to the last 2 weeks.
Yep. Benford did a great job. I think he followed Ibuka around pretty considerably. I think they gave him some help too, but they did a great job on one of the best young receivers, rookie receiver at that, in the league last week. Would you expect Benford to pretty much shadow Nico Collins?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think that it's very possible we see that, but I think the Bills don't love doing that, you know what I mean? But in this case like this, maybe I would expect maybe some double teams on Nico, and maybe then you don't have to have Benford necessarily follow him around,
right?
Because I think you want to force other guys to beat you, right? I mean, Xavier Hutchinson's done a nice job. They have some guys. Noel has been a nice player for them, and then of course there's Dalton Schultz, who's a really good tight end. But if I'm going to choose my poison, I'm going to have Schultz beat me instead of Nico Collins, right? And if I can force things to somebody else, I think that's the game plan, what you want to do.
How about the Bills linebackers, Sal? We took a call earlier today, making the point about Bernard, his foot speed. He's very, I think, clearly laboring. I think he's even said he's not 100%, but he's good enough to play. Milano's had, I think, a pretty uneven year. And I'm just curious, like Shaq Thompson is expected to be back, right? Like he was full all week, I think.
That's right, yes.
And I just wonder where we're at with the linebackers here, because I have sympathy for Bernard playing through something, but there have been some moments, open field with Baker Mayfield last week for one, that just, boy, it's tough to see the state that both he and Milano, I think, largely this year have been in.
Yeah, a little bit of a homecoming for Terrell Bernard. He's from LaPorte, Texas. Played his college ball at Baylor, so I'm sure he'd love to, put on a good showing here tonight. And I thought he played his best game of the year last Sunday. I know that sounds weird when they had 200 yards rushing against them, but from a standpoint of his movement, from filling holes, getting there, in the pass game, a couple of pass breakups, from that standpoint, I thought Terrell was much better last week, and I think that's a good sign that he's getting healthier. There's no doubt he's been dealing with the ankle. It has definitely impacted him. And, from start to finish this year, despite the fact that he has been unavailable a lot, Shaq Thompson's been their most consistent linebacker. Right. So if you can get him healthy and back tonight, and he becomes an option to put on the field in base defense, I think that would really help the Bills, obviously, in those situations. But Matt Milano has not had the splash plays that we've seen from him in the past. I do attribute some of that to the fact that, yes, he's getting older, he's coming off some injuries, but this Bills defensive line has been so banged up, it's been hard to keep guys off their linebackers.
Yep.
That's where it starts. It's got to start up front, and When you can get these 300-pound offensive linemen, 300-pound plus, getting out in space on undersized linebackers like Bernard and Milano, it's just going to really neutralize them. And I think that's a lot of what's happened. And I think because of Bernard's injury, it's just he has not been able to shed those as much or get around those as much as we're used to seeing.
Well, if Davis Mills falters, then the Bills should be fine. But if he doesn't, a lot of narrative stuff to like about the Texans here. The obvious short week home game thing with the Bills having to travel. But 5-5, it's a big game for the Bills if we want to keep talking about first place and a bye. It's not everything, though, otherwise to them. They'd still be likely to make the playoffs. Not so for Houston, which would fall to 5-6 with a loss. They are underdogs. Their next 2 games are against the Colts and the Chiefs. So they've won the division 2 years in a row. They have good players. It's a franchise, I think, that has higher expectations than third place in the AFC South going into Week 12. I would expect a good performance from Houston.
Yeah, just on the tail, to tail that, they are 55% to make the playoffs with a win tonight. It drops to 23% with a loss.
And their point differential is almost the same as the Bills.
It's a pretty big swing.
Huge leverage game for the Texans' playoff chances. And I'll throw this out there. If the Texans win this game tonight, they're a game back of the Bills with head-to-head. So they're half game back. I mean, and the Bills obviously see the division kind of slipping away. So you're fighting wild card now, right? You're fighting for a wild card. And at the end of the year, if you wind up tied with the Houston Texans with a record, well, they're going to have that tiebreaker on you, right? So, yeah, this is a massive game for both teams. If you can win this game, if you're the Bills, you can basically go 3 games up on a team like Houston and still keep pace with New England. You lose this game, the Texans are right there. They're within striking distance. How about the fact that Daniel Jones is on the injury list now for the Chiefs? The Colts, for the Colts, they go to the Chiefs this week. The Colts have a tough schedule. The Texans probably see it in their window where, hey, you know what? We get a win here tonight. We can really make some room here and try to catch these guys. So I think that's interesting. And remember, guys, a week ago, before after the Miami game, we talked, and I said, guys, over the next 10 days, this was a week Monday, I said over the next 10 days, the trajectory of the Bills season is really riding on what could happen because they could still sit and be here and go 8-3. Now, with a win, that's the case, and now you're still only a game behind New England with playing them still in a few weeks.
Very good. Sal Capaccio joining us from the inner sanctum of the Houston Texans offices. We'll try again as we get closer to game time.
All right, guys. By then, I'll be out in the field. I'll talk to you then.
Okay. Time now for Tailgate Trivia, presented by TSE Buffalo. Be the first caller to correctly answer our Tailgate Trivia question, and you'll win a Buffalo Bills autographed merch item courtesy of Total Sports Enterprises Buffalo. The number to call, 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. They want these questions to be about the team that the Bills are playing. So I'll give you this one. Who leads the Texans this season in receptions? Who leads the Texans this season so far in receptions? Again, the phone number, 221-4947. We'll talk some more about tonight's game next. That's What's on Tap, brought to you by Miller Lite. It's Miller time, Bills fans. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Just a few more hours until kickoff. The Buffalo Bills are down in Houston getting ready to take on the Texans for Thursday Night Football. Kickoff at 8:15, and Chip and the Bulldog will have you for pregame until then. And at 8:15, we'll hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. We do have some roster movement for both teams. 3 players have been ruled out for the Bills: tight end Dalton Kincaid and wide receivers McCole Hardman and Curtis Samuel, while defensive tackle Federi Mathis, the lone player that is questionable. With McCole Hardman being out, he is being placed on IR, and then wide receiver Gabe Davis and tight end Kaliki Latu have been elevated from the practice squad, while on the Texans side of things, starting quarterback C.J. Stroud has been ruled out, as has safety Jalen Petrie and linebacker Jamal Hill. The Texans, though, have no other game day designations. They have, however, waived running back Damian Pierce to make room for cornerback Ajani Carter on the team's 53-man roster. And the Barnes from Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. The inactives are expected in just about an hour and a change, about an hour and 15 at 6:45. We also do have some schedule news for the Bills. The league did officially announce earlier this afternoon that when the Bengals do come to town in Week 14, that game is now going to be at 1 p.m. It was originally a 4:25 kick. Bears and Packers have now taken that slot. And then some other notes in the NFL. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, again for the second day in a row, a full participant at practice. Signs beginning to point to him getting the start on Sunday versus New England. And Colts quarterback Daniel Jones limited today with a calf injury after having no injury designation yesterday. The Colts do take on Kansas City this Sunday, while for the Chiefs, both running back Isaiah Pacheco and wide receiver Xavier Worthy were limited. This update is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joy Shore Border Attorneys. I'm Zach Jones for the Buffalo Bills Radio Network.
Just want to say he's not perfect. He is human at the end of the day. We all are human. Everybody makes mistakes. He's learning from them, and he's young. We got to remember that he's young. And also previous situations, going back to the Marshawn Nealon situation, like everybody, RIP to him as well. Mental health is real. And everybody's like bashing him, talking about him. Like, I'm not saying he's in a bad spot or anything, but also let's just remember that he's human at the same time. And he will learn from these mistakes and he will bounce back.
Tyrell Shavers on Keon Coleman, who is expected to sit again tonight. See what Shavers is. On Bet Sweats, Joe Ostrowski, Sam Paniatovich, a daily segment on their show is called The Room. And on Thursdays, it's focused on the Thursday night game, so tonight's game. And The Room signifies the 5 most popular bets, the public bets. And these guys make a joke out of how badly the public does most of the time. So they want to bet against The Room. And one of the top bets.
I think this is why I'm not invited on that show. I think I am representative of The Room. Yes.
You won a lot more than I have. Shavers over was in The Room.
Yeah.
And the number is like 22.5 yards tonight from 90.
Right.
And I think like that's the point. If you go under and are wrong, well then of course you have overthought it. But those guys are like, yep, okay, they're all under on Shavers tonight. But it's not that much. It's
right.
so low compared to last week. 22.5. If he catches 3 for 23, are we going to think that he had a good game?
No.
So that's the line, though. At least it was this morning, 22.5 on Shavers.
It's possible that he just becomes a guy that Allen trusts. It shouldn't be ignored that the touchdown was not a drawn-up play. And, look, that can cut both ways, right? Because on one hand, it would be a sign of something that, like, they're taking a shot here, giving Shavers a chance to make that play. Like, so let's draw. Like, that's the primary target. We're going to clear space, whatever, try to draw the deep safety away and give him one-on-one down the sideline, see if he can beat his guy. No, instead, that play was, and I think this is to his credit and a reason why The Room could be on the right track here. Allen trusted him enough to go to him in that situation, right? He saw it and recognized that Shavers was like-minded. I'm going for the home run here. And he launched it, and it was, a well enough thrown ball and a great catch down there in windy conditions. that's indicative. Like, to me, Allen, it's possible he will be, if he's at any point, it will surely happen tonight, where off script he is, moving around back there, and I could see the chip dropping into his thought, like, where's Shavers? Like, I try. His instincts were good last week. Let's see if I can go back to the well. But I mean, it'll only take one play, and you're way past that number that's set there.
Right. Speaking of receivers, receptions, catches, the trivia question, tailgate trivia, presented by TSE Buffalo. The winner is Fred. Fred was correct when guessing that Dalton Schultz. Not even guessing, he might have known it.
Fred is not leading the Houston Texans in receiving.
No.
He knew who was.
Dalton Schultz is leading the Texans in catches this season, I think 51, a couple more than Nico Collins. So congrats to Fred. He is our tailgate trivia winner. This is not probably your dog, Fred.
I would trust that that's correct. Although he does listen.
Well, it's good to have a dog who listens. In Oh Heavenly Dog, Benji can dial a phone. Solves a murder. So if you think Fred's good, check out Benji in that movie. Chevy Chase, Jane Seymour, Omar Sharif.
Omar Sharif.
Yes.
This show needs to be pulled over right now.
We're just talking Fred won, and then your dog's name is Fred. Now we're to Omar Sharif.
Omar Sharif. How does a dog a rotary phone?
Yes. Ever seen one of those? Yes. He knows how to. He finds a piece of paper with a phone number on it. I think I even know the number. It's not 555. Interestingly,
careful.
Dials it. I know. So who knows? Maybe I didn't take the call, but.
Did you fit a claw in a nail? Okay, all right.
My dog has.
Yeah, sure. Fred does.
Digits.
Yeah. All right.
Digits.
Yeah. All right. I guess I can see it.
Getting connected with the fans, powered by Verizon. Get to your local Verizon store today. Burrow back for Cincinnati. They play New England. Big deal? Big difference for this game?
Yeah. I mean, Flacco had his minute, maybe even 5 minutes, but that's crashed, and I think the timing is good. Boy, would love to have the whole band together with Chase for our purposes anyway. I mean, also for fantasy purposes, I'm sure. But yeah, I think so. Yeah.
For Bengals purposes.
Right. Just, yeah, I like it. I like the timing. I'm glad. I think it gives them a better chance to upset New England.
They are still, betting-wise, a huge long shot to even make the playoffs. They are 3-7, but there is a path if the Ravens and Steelers just don't get it together. I mean, Baltimore may have it together. We'll see. Pittsburgh's up and down, mediocre. Bills go to Pittsburgh next Sunday, by the way. And then Cincinnati is here. If you missed the news on that game was moved to 1 o'clock from 4:25. They flipped Bengals, Bills, and Bears, Packers. So they made Bears, Packers the late game. This is a Fox game. So it'll be 1 o'clock. Who is that not good for? I'm sure there are people that prefer the 4:25. If I'm going to the stadium, the 4:25 game is pretty much the entire day.
Yeah.
You got to get there 1, 2 at the latest. I don't know.
You probably, if you're equipped to watch games at your tailgate, you probably want to be there to watch 1 o'clock games. So yeah, I think it is the. I much prefer 1 o'clock myself. And if I were going, I would much prefer 1 o'clock.
You're home at 11. 4:25.
Right. Yeah. It's really the whole day. It's almost like a night game. Yeah.
But I think 1 o'clock, I'd want to be there like by 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm home by 6.
Right.
Much better.
Yeah.
So good news for, I think most fans probably, that game moving. The back to the standings. I think it was PFF. I'm not positive, though, where I saw the chances that the 1 seed will be either Denver or New England, 61%. It's not that high, 61%. It's not 2 out of 3 Sims. Indianapolis would probably be third, but they've got the Chiefs here, a couple of Houston games, Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a good record. So 39% it'll be someone else. And there's, of course, still a path for the Bills to make it. For that to be something we keep talking about, they'll have to win the night.
I agree. I don't think there's really any clinging to that. With there being already, there's 3 2-loss teams, 2 9-win teams already. Indianapolis had their bye, so they're on even footing games played-wise with the Bills, although the Bills will pass them tonight now, but Indy will play this weekend with the Chiefs, like you said. So, yeah, I think if I'm looking at the Bills at 7-4, tied with the Chargers after tonight, I mean, do you think the Chargers have a look at the 1 seed right now? I don't.
Jacksonville?
Right. I mean, Jacksonville's 6-4 right now. I think you get to 4 losses. I just think that's you might be able to. It might take running the table. You might be able to get away with it with 1 more loss, but that's it. And so if you get that tonight against Houston, and you still have everything that's in front of you here. Not that I'm really scared of the Steelers or the Bengals necessarily, but I've got the Eagles to deal with again. I got to go to New England. I just think it'd be really tough.
It'll be another conference loss. The Bills have 2. They also lost. They have 2 in the division, New England and Miami, and they have the loss to Atlanta. They're done with the NFC South, but they still have that Eagles game,
right.
1 more out-of-conference game scheduled for Week 17. Countdown to kickoff continues. Next, we'll talk about tonight's game some more. How about that? On Tap, that's what's on tap, brought to you by Miller Lite. It's Miller time, try that again. It's Miller time, Bills fans. That should have been easy. All right, we will break here, and it's going to be a Jordan Poyer profile. Mike Shope and the Bulldog. This is the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. Let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills. Enter now at WGR550.com for a chance to win $1,200 toward your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow, comforting today. Mike Shope and the Bulldog here. Chris Brown and Eric Wood will join us for our regular pregame roundtable coming up in about 15 minutes, maybe even less. Would you take one turnover tonight?
Sure.
I would.
Sure.
But not two.
Okay. Sure.
Wouldn't take two. Two sounds like that could be too many.
What about three?
Way too many. There have been three each of their last two games. Last week they got away with it.
Right.
Took the ball away from Tampa twice, I think, ended up being, in the win over the Buccaneers. Tonight it's the Houston Texans. Yeah, I think Houston is a little dangerous. They've been a successful organization, relatively speaking, last 2 years under DeMeco Ryans. You've got the quarterback issue tonight, but they've played with Mills not only in the past, but each of their most of their last three games, and they won their last two. So I think they're probably accustomed to him. There might not be the upside with Stroud, but Stroud wasn't even that good for most of the last 2 years.
Right.
So I don't think of that as a big difference in this game. And respect for their defense, the Bills will have to be sharp offensively, I think, to win. And, there's a pretty good chance of that, I suppose. We'll talk to Eric about the challenges of Sunday to Thursday night on the players. We always talk about it, but I've never lived it.
It's good to be, mindful, respectful of who you're playing. But I think I like that Mills has been pretty good so far because he's not that good. And so I don't know. I don't want to go too far down their due, but he's a backup, and I think he's a backup for a reason. So I like him to throw the ball to the Bills in this game. I think it might be time for him to go pumpkin. Like if he's been kind of hot here and feeding Nico Collins, let's make sure we're mindful of that. The Bills are mindful of that. I won't be playing again in this game. I'm inactive.
You're trending the wrong way.
So I kind of, it's not like this is turning into like Bryce Young v. Andy Dalton or anything. Mills is not at that stage of his career that Dalton is at. But I mean, that turned into a joke. So Mills is younger than that and still has a liver arm and whatever, but I think he's a backup for a reason, and I would expect to be able to exploit that. I don't think if the Bills blow this game tonight, I don't think it's because Davis Mills dances on them. I think I think they'll get run on, and if that turns into touchdowns, then they could be in trouble. And if they're sloppy on offense, or even just can't move the ball on offense, then I think they could be in tough. And that's possible. This Houston defense is to be respected, and I do respect it. I guess what I'm admitting here is I don't really respect Davis Mills.
You are saying it. Not only admitting it, you are downright saying it.
Yep.
The game last year in Houston was not pretty for the Bills offense. They lost 23-20. Allen in the game, 9 for 30, 131. Can you even believe that there was such a game? And take away his rookie season, 9 for 30. The only players who will be on the field tonight for the Bills that caught a pass in that game probably will be Cook and Ray Davis, who totaled 3 for 21. Kincaid had 2 catches. He's out. Mac Hollins had 2. He's gone. Coleman had a 49-yard touchdown catch, his only catch in the game, expected not to play. And Curtis Samuel had a catch for no yards, and he's injured. So that's it.
And Shakir didn't do anything
He
in
didn't
this
play
game?
in this game.
Didn't play in this game, okay.
He was hurt in Baltimore.
All right. Oh, that's right.
The week before.
That's right.
And was inactive for
Yep.
the Houston game. Houston was favored.
In this game last year?
Yes. Wow. 1-point favorite. They got up 20-3 into the second half. Bills tied it fairly late, but Houston won it at the gun on a 59-yard field goal. Kaimi Fairbairn, for what it's worth, he's supposed to be back tonight. He's missed the last couple of games for Houston Fairbairn, but
big leg. Yep.
Oh, One of the biggest of legs.
As evidenced by the 59-yarder to win the game last year. Yep.
Yes. The Bills' last win in Houston was 19 years ago. 2006, J.P. Lossman, Lee Evans, Peerless Price. That's the last time they've won there. They've beaten the Texans here, but it's 0-5, including the playoff loss in 2019 for the Bills in Houston since that game in 2006. All 5 Texans losses this season by 8 points or fewer. So they've not gotten blown out in a game yet. So are they due to get blown out in a game?
Yes,
the Duke card.
There it is.
There it is, the Duke card.
Yep. Defensive score, blowout. There you go.
Next, it'll be the roundtable with Chris and Eric, who are live in Houston, of course. Good that they're live, right? That's what's on tap, brought to you by Miller Lite, proud partner of the Buffalo Bills. It's Miller time. Can the Bills get to 8-3 and sneak within one game of New England? Patriots at Bengals Sunday. Joe Burrow might be back for Cincinnati. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, thanks for joining us. Countdown to kickoff continues. This is the Buffalo Bills Football Network.